We're sort of in this position that we've been in for the last few days. This deal is awaiting the president's approval, which is a pretty key sticking point on all of it. It's described as a 60-day memorandum of understanding between the two sides, and it would extend the ceasefire, such as it is, and kick off then discussions about what happens next with Iran's nuclear program.
So there's a lot we do not know, including whether Iranian leaders will sign off on it. President Trump saying this about the current state of play.
Is there a line that they would cross for you to go on the offensive again militarily?
Well, a deal that wasn't going to be good for us is the line, ultimately, because, I'm playing it out, and we're going to see, and that's what I do. I negotiate. They negotiate. They're very good negotiators. They're crafty. But in the end, we have all the cards because we've defeated them militarily. Iran has the capability. If we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers 9 months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon right now, and it would be a whole different story.
Very complex, this situation. So Michael Allen is on deck with his analysis, but we begin in Dubai, where Jeff Paul is standing by. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Martha. Yeah, and in one sense, it feels like this is the closest we have come to seeing a potential deal being struck between the U.S. and Iran since the war began 3 months ago. But in another sense, this sort of sounds like the same story where there's a deal right around the corner and then nothing happens. And complicating matters this time are these back and forth strikes between the U.S. and Iran. Just yesterday, the U.S. intercepted 5 one-way attack drones launched by Iran and destroyed a 6th drone as it was about to be launched. In return, Iran launched missile and drone attacks on Kuwait, seemingly targeting a U.S. airbase there. Now, Gulf Arab states like the UAE condemning what it called the, quote, Iranian terrorist attacks. Vice President J.D. Vance says Iran still wants to make a deal, but they're going back and forth on a few language points. But he says they have made a lot of progress, and so far, Vance thinks Iran is negotiating in good faith.
There are a lot of details to work out, but what I mean is I think we're making progress. We'll get to a point where we could potentially sit down and settle these issues, but that requires us to make a little bit more progress. I can't guarantee that we're going to get there, but right now I feel pretty good about it.
Now, here's what's on the table regarding the reported 60-day agreement. The Strait of Hormuz fully reopens and mines are removed within 30 days. The U.S. lifts its blockade, allowing Iran to sell oil freely. Iran agrees to not pursue a nuclear weapon, and talks begin on disposing its enriched uranium. There would also be discussions surrounding humanitarian aid for Iran and ending the conflict between Israel and Hezbollah and Lebanon. This is all, of course, contingent on a signature from President Donald Trump and leadership in Iran. Martha?
Jeff Paul, thank you very much.
And Michael Allen is a former senior director on President George W. Bush's National Security Council. Beacon Strategies is where he is now. He heads that up. And you pay a lot of attention to this. So how do you explain to people where we are right now? And can you see this impasse ending in the next week or so?
Thanks, Dana. I think we're beginning to take smaller steps instead of trying to negotiate an entire agreement within a limited framework. It feels as if we're going for what some have described as the narrow deal, where we're just going to try and rescind our blockade of Iranian ports in exchange for the opening of the Strait of Hormuz. The part I like about the apparent agreement is that it doesn't have to be declared open immediately. It seems like each side could use baby steps, take intermediate steps along the way, and eventually get to a place where it's fully open. So what I want the most out of this is for the president to retain a maximum degree of leverage over this situation, because what he can't ever agree to, and he has said as much, is letting Iran have a veto over the world's economy by holding up this very important international waterway.
Michael, this is General Keane earlier today, and he's talking about the leadership in Iran, how fractured it is, and how tough it is to get to this point with any certainty on our part. Here's General Keane.
It's unlikely they're going to change. No matter what deal we put together, at the end of it, they're going to want to recover everything that they're losing and go back to their original goals. So in the deal, and our negotiators understand this, we've got to have the provisions in there to prevent as much of that as possible from happening. The second thing is we know they're going to cheat. Look at this. Right now what's taking place. Just this week alone, with the violation of the ceasefire in the Straits of Hormuz. Who's doing that? The Iranians are doing that, and we had to react to it.
So they obviously feel empowered, Iran, Michael, and they don't care too much about their people suffering. Can any of this actually really change without ending this regime?
It's going to be really hard, and of course, General Keane was referring to that as well. At the end of the day, for them to totally quit funding terrorists and standing down on a nuclear program and helping their people, it's going to have to be regime change. I don't think we can force it from the air. Obviously, the Iranian people were upset enough earlier in the year to take to the streets. Eventually, it's going to be their job to do. But I think the general's right. We have to, but we're in a different world where, short of regime change, we're trying to do the best we can with the leverage that we have to be able to limit them as much as possible. I wish the president, and I think he will, continue to hold out the credible use of military force so that he believes, that the Iranians believe, that we're willing to go back to war. Not that I want to go back to war, but if they don't believe that we're going to use force, I think they're going to continue to game us, they're going to continue to cheat, and then we will have signed up to a new nuclear deal that really doesn't work when you look at it over the course of many months.
The other thing is that you have Iran understanding now that they have this amazing card to play in the Strait of Hormuz. Secretary Bessent was asked yesterday about their idea of allowing tolls.
I think the president wanted to punctuate freedom of navigation in the strait. I had a call with the Omani ambassador this morning, and he assured me that there were no plans for tolling the strait. And I told him that this was a non-starter, and he did not want to risk either the Omani individuals or Omani financial institutions getting sanctioned.
And I keep going back to what Marco Rubio said earlier this week, that if it were allowed for the Strait of Hormuz to be a place where there's going to be tolls, there's about 5 other locations around the world where that would happen as well. So that has to be a non-starter.
I think it's a total non-starter. But here's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that some of these shipping captains and the owners of their ships and their insurance companies are going to say, listen, we're not comfortable even going through the straits when it's supposedly open. So why don't we just secretly pay a toll to the Iranians? We've got to figure out a way to make sure that does not happen. We do not need the Iranian regime with some tacit control of the straits while they claim that it's open. So that requires intelligence, that requires vigilant diplomacy, because what we don't need is having Iran with de facto control over the straits and all of us pretending that it's free and open like it used to be.
Great point. Michael, thank you very much. Great to have you with us today.
Thanks, Michael. Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.